Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green and you're tuning into AMTV, Alternative Media Television. It is Thursday, hard to believe it's Thursday already. It is February 4th. I notice we're approaching Valentine's Day in the not too distant future. Happy pre-Valentine's Day. It's pretty unbelievable to think it's already 2016 and we are already approaching Valentine's Day. Pretty amazing how the time just flies. And I was talking about this in my video yesterday, which if you haven't already, please subscribe on demand. I think it's probably one of my better videos. I talk about how perception is your reality. Today I want to talk a little bit about how you set your own limitations in life. Whatever you believe is reality. Perception is your reality. Everything else truly is an illusion. Let me give you an example. If you go to bed at night and you say things like, I wish I was wealthy, or I wish I had a better job, or I wish I had better relationships, you're basically only admitting to yourself that you're not that person, that you don't have those things, that you're detached from that reality, and in essence, you're making that your reality. How you view the world is your reality. What you think about is what you become in this programmable society that makes up the most powerful entity on Earth. Guess who said that? And guess what it is? The mainstream media, the MSM. And it was funny, yesterday I was looking this up because I was scripting together stories, I often do. I believe in the power of the written word, and so I'm writing some things down. I'm like, do you capitalize Earth, the most powerful entity on Earth, referring to the mainstream media? Do you capitalize the E? And so I wanted to know the rule. And then I noticed that the guy who said that was Malcolm X. And I had to think to myself for a minute, was that something I came up with on my own? Or is that just a part of the lexicon that makes up society, that makes up the algorithm, that makes up Google and big tech and this educational brainwashing system that makes up America today? Again, just a handful of corporations, folks, own basically the entire media. You've got companies like Time Warner, you've got companies like 21st Century Fox, we have new emergent companies attracting the millennial generation like Vice Media, owned by Shane Smith, now estimated to be worth over $4 billion. Pretty incredible. But you only have a handful of companies that have traditionally owned this entire media experience for a reason. Owned by large corporations to control the masses, to keep you in chains. But I talked about this yesterday, how everything is changing now, how we're moving into this programmatic, if that's the right word, if I'm saying that correctly, algorithmic society, this robotic society, where now the machines, the AI, the technology, and the robots are truly taking over. And people are losing jobs. I mean, for every job technology creates, it destroys 1,000, if not more. You don't have to pay a robot a salary. You don't have to give them health care. You don't have to give them benefits. You don't even have to put up with their shitty water cooler talk politics. You don't have to do any of that. You don't even have to pay them. They never tire, and once you've made that lump sum initial investment, you just maintain the machines. Maybe you hire one guy to run the thousands of machines in your plant that are now building all of our cars, or building furniture, or stocking shelves, or making food, or any of that. Again, most of the products you get in the grocery store come from like just a handful of companies. I mean, that's the reality of our society today. But back to the mainstream media, the most powerful entity on Earth. How we're programmed from such an early age in this matrix that makes up our modern society, this control system, this re-education camp is truly what it is. Psychological warfare. I mean, from an early age, we've got the TV on in the background. Maybe your parents are playing it and they've got commercials running of Coca-Cola or Pampers diapers or anything else. It's just programming into your mind that this is how society works. This is what is expected of you. These are the rules. And it basically squashes any kind of innovation. It quells the disruptor. And I mentioned Vice Media. They're one of these companies that kind of came out of nowhere, although Rupert Murdoch made like a $40 million investment in them, taking about 5% stake ownership in the company. You have disruptors that kind of shake things up, and then they just merge in to the giant corporations and to this giant web that made up the control system in the first place. It's really quite interesting. You know, the more I've been around, the more that I realize that there needs to be an elevation of our consciousness, that there needs to be a greater awareness, which I really think that there is. You know, the American people waking up, the people of the world unifying in a sense. And I'm not referring to a one world order or one world government or anything like that, but unifying in a sense with our consciousness. Understand that this is a control mechanism, that all of this is propaganda, it's nationalism, it's patriotism. You know, all these things, I'm not saying they're bad, but we're being conditioned by our slave owners. We are the bitch and the bitches of this system. We are the bitches of these giant corporations. We are the bitches of Wall Street. We are the slaves of these Washingtonians. People like Hillary Rodham Clinton, these criminals. I mean, for crying out loud, how do they commit these overt criminal acts, from Benghazi Gate to blowing up their email servers to lying directly to our faces, people like Barack Obama, etc.? How are these people even allowed to walk around Washington, D.C.? They're freaking criminals. I mean, there was a guy, I'm forgetting his name right now, he's in the biotech field, and he's in jail right now, and I think he pleaded the Fifth or something like that here recently. Like, he's in jail and being targeted for running like a Ponzi scheme or something like that. But all these criminal bankers continue to walk scot-free. You know, Bernie Madoff was a scapegoat compared to the Jamie Dimons of J.P. Morgan Chase or these other corporate tycoons that run big money and these Wall Street firms today. These guys walk scot-free. There's not a microscope on them. There's a microscope on these, you know, small fish. Bernie Madoff, a small fish. This biotech guy, I can't remember his name, I'll flash it up on the screen, a small fish. You know, it makes up, again, this matrix. It is this control system that makes up this artificial reality that has been used and institutionalized all of us to enslave us from the get-go. Again, you can't do this, you can't do that. You know, go get a job, sir. You know, what I think is really cool about our society now is how some of these non-traditional career choices actually are the most successful. For example, what I do, totally non-traditional, yet I employ people. You know, we have this amazing company. We're growing exponentially day by day. You know, it's something that wasn't supposed to work before, yet this disruption is actually working better than the old model. You know, the old model isn't what's working anymore. This old characteristic of the nuclear family and, you know, you're going to get a job and you're going to get a pension, you're going to be taken care of by the government is no longer panning out because it's a big friggin' illusion. It's an upside down pyramid scheme. There's no money left. I mean, the national debt's at what, $19 trillion plus now? And it's expected to exceed $20 trillion in the not too distant future, all due to the criminal acts of the money system that makes up the Federal Reserve, that makes up the printing presses and the petrodollar relationship, and how this ties into oil with the rest of the world. But all of this changing dramatically. We see the push of corporate devils like George Soros, where he's, you know, wrecked economies in the past and destroyed currencies. We see people like that supporting this New World Order environment, supporting candidates like Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, really with their entire aim to destroy the fabric of our society here in America, destroy the makeup of what it had meant to be an American, what it had meant to be free, to have these fundamental, inalienable, God-given rights that made up the constitutional republic in the first place. I mean, these people really, their aim is to destroy the very fabric of our society, to destroy the very fabric of the American family, the cohesiveness, our morality. You know, it's why we have a society now where there's a lack of a lot of that. You know, where it's almost considered strange if you're a conservative or you're religious or you have old, what people will call and refer to as old or archaic values, or you value things like the Constitution, for crying out loud. It's what the country was freaking founded on. You know, people like the Hammond family are in jail. The Bundys are in jail. You know, the American patriot is now considered a freaking terrorist, while at the same time, Washington, D.C., Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are arming terrorists in places like Syria, are radicalizing and overthrowing governments that aren't their own. I mean, it's just such a double standard. It's such hypocrisy, this colonialism in the Middle East, the massive death toll, the nuclear weapons that we dropped during World War II in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I mean, the mass genocide that we commit. You know, I'm not defending or I'm not attacking one particular group or the other, but isn't it amazing just how vile humanity actually is, how vile, a lot of people are, mass death, genocide, all of this trauma inflicted on civilians. I mean, look at the Middle East right now. This is a giant scar on the back of America, maybe on the face of all Americans, millions dead. And the United States of America, arguably, entirely responsible for it, invading countries that had nothing to do with September 11th, and continuing to try to overthrow others like countries in Syria, because Bashar al-Assad isn't a puppet and he won't let a Qatari pipeline run through his country. So America's like, all right, we're just going to demonize this guy and try to take him out. And so now we have this new axis of good versus evil, but it's really switched itself. We have this emergence of the East, Russia and China, this war of worlds against the United States, Western nations, which are on the decline. Why do you think they're pushing for war? Why do you think the country is building up to war? Why do you think we're at war now? We're engaged in this great war now because America's on the decline. We've spent ourselves to infinity. We have a lack of morality. We have this societal decay. We have an upside down pyramid. And then we have a bunch of millennials, and I'm not knocking millennials at all. A lot of them tune into this channel. I think millennials are great, but it's not supporting the old structure. Social security, government benefits, this idea that you're going to get pensions, etc., it's not supported by the current model. So what you're going to have is social chaos, folks. You're going to have revolution. You're going to have re-revolution. Patriots in America are going to be targeted as terrorists. They're going to aim to take away your guns. Policies that the Manchurian candidate Barack Obama has been instituting from day one, because this is a part of the George Soros One World Order government campaign. The same reason he sponsors the Democratic Party. The same reason he sponsored Barack Obama, and he sponsors Hillary Rodham Clinton to this very day. These are the men behind the curtain. These are the men behind the scenes, the big moneyed interests that not a lot of people talk about. We just, point a finger at Obama or point a finger at Hillary Clinton, or the masses get caught up in the bullshit divide that makes up the two-party system, which is just a fabrication, an illusion that you have a choice, when you don't. There is no freaking choice. We saw this at the Iowa caucus where they had to flip a coin 6 times, which Hillary Clinton won 6 friggin' times. I mean, what are the odds of that? It's like 1.5%. You know that was rigged. You know that was bullshit. Just like this dramatic improvement in the polling in Iowa we saw from Marco Rubio. Bullshit! Because he's supported by the moneyed interests. Why do you think they had Microsoft there tallying the votes? Because big tech is the United States government. He who tallies the votes determines the outcome. And Americans are like, oh yeah, it's like a real election. Like we're going to decide like who's president. Like the president even makes any decisions. He doesn't. Okay, he is a figurehead. He is a puppet. They just basically, paint a pig. They put a bunch of lipstick and makeup on him and put him in a suit and think that he speaks well in front of an audience. I mean, that's all it is. It's all a fabrication. It's all an illusion. Our entire fabric of society is literally hanging from a freaking thread. I could just break it like this or flick it with my finger. I always find it amazing that we actually have order in our society, that there isn't more social chaos, that there isn't more upheaval, there aren't more revolutions and re-revolution, that there's not more anger in the streets, that there's not pitchforking. I mean, we didn't see enough in 2008 and 2009. People are like, oh yeah, we got raped by the big banks. Big deal. Yeah, they stole trillions from us and basically took our personal property away from us, a constitutional civil liberty, and then we bailed them out with trillions of dollars. People are like, those banksters be banksters. Jamie Dimon becomes a billionaire as a result. People really don't care because we're all institutionalized. We're all a byproduct of this. We've all been brainwashed. We've all been propagandized. These societal controls have been instituted for a reason. They're jammed down our throats, and we're supposed to drink the Kool-Aid from an early age for a reason. There's peer pressure among your peers for a reason. People say you can't do things. You can't be this. You can't have this career. You can't have this job. Bullshit. You can create any reality you want. Everything else is a fabrication. Everything else is an illusion. Repeat after me. You are powerful, America. You are powerful, world. You are strong. You are brilliant. You are creative. You are amazing. You don't need anybody else. Nobody else controls you but you. You are free. That is your inalienable God-given right. Our founding fathers knew this. You can accomplish, do, be anything you want to be. And that's exactly what the George Soroses of the world don't want you to know. They want to put a lid on that creativity. They want to put a lid on that bright light that makes up our humanity. They want to create that system that enslaves all of us. Yes, we don't see the physical chains anymore. They're not as prevalent as they were in years past. We've got a history of slavery in this country, for example. We saw how the white man and Americans wiped out Native Americans, essentially, in years past. Maybe the physical chains aren't as great, but now they're digital. Now it makes up Facebook, it makes up Google, it makes up Microsoft, it makes up all these systems that now control us. What did Matt Drudge say? It's the digital ghetto, and we're all their bitch. We're working for the freaking man. You know, it's time we use our own creativity. We use our own brawn. We use our own brilliance, our own genius. You know, AMTV is the voice of the people. We are fighting this convoluted propaganda web that makes up the most powerful entity on earth, just like Malcolm X pointed out not long ago. You are a part of that process. We are disrupting and shaking up the system. This is the real grassroots. This is the real media, what you're tuning into now. And we're going to continue to rattle that cage, folks. We're going to continue to shake things up. I'm Christopher Green. You've been tuning into AMTV, Alternative Media Television, hard hitting it in your face, and click the link below to support our sponsor.